listeners. This is Unstoppable Tracy, your host of the Today Show in Toronto. Unbelievably over the moon to be celebrating after a 3 year wait. The Abilities Expo Toronto is returning. And it couldn't come at a more necessary time. And I am so pleased to be welcoming Ian Forsyth, owner of the Can East Shows, who is producing the Abilities Expo. Welcome, Ian, to the Today Show right after these messages we just had.
Thank you very much. The only issue I have, Tracy, is I just need a little bit more enthusiasm from you.
Can you tell I'm really looking forward to the Abilities
Yes, for
Expo?
sure. Yes, I certainly
And
am
I'm
too.
not alone, Ian. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Anybody I'm talking to that's been before is really looking forward to coming back. But Ian, myself, and all the people that have been before, and a whole bunch of people that are just finding out about the show right here, right now, are really curious. So who are we going to see at the show, and what kinds of things? Are you able to leak some top secret vendors and events that are going to happen? This can be where people hear it first today.
For sure, I'm happy to. I mean, in terms of the vendors generally, there's a lot of the ones that people will expect to see, like accessible vehicles, catheters, standing devices, travel. We've got quite a number of travel exhibitors, which is great. Accessible
Yes.
travel, obviously. Um, Quite a bit of rehab and physio and therapy as well. Scooters. We actually have a couple of law firms with us as well. Employment, accessible employment, accessible design. I mean,
Oh,
it's wheelchairs, of course, and the great accessories that go with that. And touching back on my original comment about what inspired me so much is we've got a few exhibitors with bicycles, adaptive and tricycles and that sort of thing. So it really does cover the gamut quite nicely. And of course, there's and a number of service organizations that are at the show as well. So things like the Canadian Helen Keller Center will be there, and quite a number of others. And certainly the best thing is to go to abilitiesexpotoronto.com to the exhibitor list, and it's active there. It's being added to on a daily basis, so people can certainly check it out.
Abilities Expo Toronto.com. And that's abilities, that's plural, and Toronto is spelled out fully, not TRTOR, but
Correct. Yeah.
TORONTO.
Yes.
Abilitiestoronto.com.
And then some real neat kind of specifics. And again, it's you're always cautious with this because it's kind of like doing the thank you speech after winning an award. You don't want to leave anybody out. But for instance, the Canadian Spinal Research Organization is going to be launching a new app called Fuel Service, which is quite intriguing in that it will allow. It's very challenging, as we know, for people with certain disabilities to get fuel. And so this
I'm one
this
of them.
app, this app will first of all let you know what stations, fuel stations, have additional people. It you can let them know when you're going to arrive, so they've got somebody available. So that's kind of cool. This
That's
is
so
one that
cool.
they just joined us, but it's called Bella's Bumpus, and they build pediatric wheelchairs at no cost to the family, other than shipping costs. And they rely solely on donations. It's something that started in the US and is now in Canada. That was kind of a spine-tingling moment for me as well.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Bell us, bump us.
Bella's Bumpus, yes.
Well us, bump us. Okay.
Bella's in plural, but
Okay.
it's just great. Toronto Rehab Institute is going to be there, and maybe not for the reason that you would think. They're working on a project to make our national parks in Canada, so that's great. Um, we've got Freedom's Wings there, and a lot of people probably are aware of them, but you can go in a glider and just enjoy the experience, or
Oh,
you can get flight training. So that's really, really cool. Um,
I've done Freedom's Wings,
oh, you
and
have?
I've got
Great.
purchases for my car, and I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I
Yeah.
got my education in outdoor recreation, and so love that they're going to do
Okay.
accessible paths. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, and then as a child, funding was such a big deal being born this way. So
Yes.
so we could never get chairs funded or my prosthetics funded. So it's so great that Bella's Bumpus is going, things that you just have no idea about unless we come to the Abilities Expo. Oh
For
my gosh.
sure.
And I know the list is endless. Can I nudge you to share a few more secrets or vendors or
Absolutely.
people you want to shout out?
Um, we've got a VAC Plus chair, which is a motorized stair climbing chair, which is very, very cool. And
Great group.
they're new to the Abilities Expo. We've got Handicup, gentleman by the name of Chris Stegas. He's got some wheelchair accessories. He is a
Oh,
wheelchair user, and he's very, very enthusiastic, and has come up with some great inventions.
oh,
And kind of in that vein as well, we've got vendor independent ideas for independent living, and he has mounting systems and electronics for accessibility. So for your things like your games and electronic games and such, and he's got some really neat stuff as well. And we've got Motor City Motion, who has the Action track chair, sorry, which is an all terrain wheelchair. So let's say
fun.
some really cool stuff. And I know I haven't covered it all, but to find out more, you know where you have to go.
Yes, abilitiesexpotoronto.com.
Yes.
And better yet, show up May 13 and 14th to the International Center, which is fabulous. Now, I also know, and by the way, I've been lucky enough to be with Freedom Wings. I've been on a plane and I've taken a lesson, which I loved, and they're amazing. But you've named at least a half a dozen things that I had no idea about, and I think it's really cool. And I think my highlighted memory on top of my own vehicle and seeing friends that I haven't seen and I always see them at the Abilities Expo in the vendors and in the aisles, which is also true. But I really thought it was so cool seeing the exoskeleton, the ability to stand for people
Mm-hmm.
with some paralysis, and maybe they're new and so they can maintain some muscle mass. And there's just some really futuristic out there phenomenal pieces. And then the fire evac, like, I can't tell you, like, I live on the fourth floor here, but I was just in a conference. I'm a keynote speaker, and I was speaking for the 911 dispatchers, the National Emergency Number Association in the States. And I was on the 14th floor, and the hotel had electricity problems for 2 days. And I was trapped in my room on the 14th floor for multiple of days. And so the fact that we've got the evacuation chair folks there so that people can think for their businesses, and that could be someone with a broken leg, and that could be somebody actively aging. It's not just, I'm talking a lot about being a child with a disability, but it really is relevant for everyone everywhere. It's your neighbor, it's your aging parent, it's your aging self. And so it's people with disabilities, but also the whole community inclusively of some universal access happening out there. Great for strollers. There's so many pieces of the puzzle that I think everyone should go, including the community of people with disabilities, either providers or families.
I agree with you.
And so I have a gazillion more questions for you, but it's commercial time again. Ian, can I ask you to hold on, and our listeners, please stay tuned right after these messages to the Today Show. I'll be returning for the last and final piece and a secret reveal from Ian about the Abilities Expo Toronto right after these messages. And get your pens ready so that you can write down where to find it and when. and how right after these messages with Unstoppable Tracy and the phenomenal producer of Abilities Expo Toronto, Ian Forsyth, in just a moment.